What's going on, party people in the house? Happy Friday to you. I think it's the last day of the month before we head into February. So hope everyone's doing good today. I've got some Longhorn topics that are guaranteed to make you the smartest person in the room. Got some information for you that I guaranteed you're gonna walk away and say, "Damn, Unc, for a guy who likes to make a lot of jokes, I sure learned something today." And that's what we're going to do. We're going to learn a couple of things today. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because, we're so funkified and get ready for a good topics that we're going to focus in on. Basically start talking about the off-season workouts and everything that's been going on as far as the off-season workouts is concerned. So let me do a quick retreat and then get into all our topics for today. I got a lot of stuff to unload with you. Happy Friday to everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Fellas, I just want to let you know, don't forget Valentine's Day is right around the corner. Don't get caught slipping. Don't get caught slipping. Make your reservations now. I made sure I did some stuff yesterday. Made my reservations. And fellas, just real quick, tip from your uncle. If you're going to be that guy that's going to send flowers, if that's the kind of thing you're going to do, make sure you get that thing delivered like the day before Valentine's Day, not the day of. They don't actually guarantee that it will be delivered the day of. Just quick tip from your uncle. All right, now let's get into the other stuff that you really need to know. Texas is wrapping up the first week of winter conditioning, right? In there's specific phases, right? There's 4 phases that you'll always hear them talk about, right? To be winter conditioning, spring ball, the summer conditioning, and of course the season, right? So this is kind of like phase 1 of everything. And good morning to you, Longhorn fan edits. Good to see you guys. I can see all you guys in here as well. Let's see, my man T is in here. SEC Matt is in here. Doug G is in here. Nate's in here. Rodolfo is in here. Anyway, so I'll give you a little bit of information on this. So this is the time of year where they basically turn the program over to Tory Becton, the strength and conditioning coach, and his staff. This is their time to really implement the things that will be the foundation for basically the entire year. It really starts now, right? And so this is why early enrollee is always a good thing for guys, right? Because you get to get that strength and conditioning thing that starts in the winter and then carries on obviously to the fall. So this is where they basically just let these guys go. They just kind of let these guys and his expected and his staff just do what they do, which is build a team that's going to be able to endure. And we've got to now it becomes more. It's always been important, right? Everyone knows it's always been important, right? And we've always hyped up these strength and conditioning coaches in the past, right? Y'all remember when when everyone was hyping up Pat Moore back when Charlie was here, right? And then there was the hype about Yancey McKnight when he was here under Herman. And Becton comes in, and Texas doesn't have the results in year 1. And so all of a sudden, there was a lot of questions about like Becton from, a lot of people from the outside, right? Not myself, but a lot of people from the outside were questioning, what does he got it? Does he got the juice? Does he know what he's doing? What Yancey had these guys at a certain point. What's Becton going to do, right? And by the way, y'all, I'm just laying a foundation for you. They're just laying a foundation for y'all. So Becton, though, they do a lot. Look, there's some specifics, and I can't tell you. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me. I don't really work out too much. So if I get into a couple of specifics and I stutter a couple of things, don't get mad at me. Don't be judged. But the previous staff did a lot of focusing on like heavy lifting. Right? A lot of heavy lifting, max out days. You guys remember back in high school, so max out day, like all those things, right? And back then the staff focused a little bit more on strength, but like more like functional strength, right? They felt like the maxing out thing is a thing that actually leads to more injuries, but a little bit more strain on the body, right? So then they did more of a focus on again, and there's more technical terms, all right? But I'm just giving you like a basis of it. More of being able to be stronger, but functionally able to move, right? Because you guys know, you ever see some guy, that's jacked up like this? Well, how functional can they be, right? So there's a functional strength that went into that. And then you started seeing that kind of the results of it. Now, with the season being as long as it is, what Becton and his staff have to do is even more important because we really started talking about, I think I counted it. It was 17 days from the time the Texas season ended until they started winter conditioning. You're talking about guys basically going year round, right? And so what they do now, as far as laying the foundation, is of vast importance of what they're doing. Okay. So the thing that you're going to hear a lot in this off season is going to be, and you're going to hear from me. It'll eventually get, y'all hear it. I want to make sure y'all hear it here first, and then eventually it becomes a thing, right? I remember like Pat Moore had the pit, and everyone's like, "Oh man, you got everyone, you got to go in the pit." It's like some of that stuff is just when you think back on it, you're like, "Man, what the hell were we talking about?" Don't make no sense, right? And so they're now working on a lot of things, and they've hit the ground running this week. Just so you know, they've hit the ground running. A lot of heavy lifting to start off this week. A lot of running. Like it's ass kicking time, right? And this is what Becton does. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him. He's a big ass man, so but this is what he does, right? And he does a great job at it. And so one of the things that I was told is that as they start getting on this thing, that the goal for the 2025 season, the main thing that they want to achieve, and it starts laying the foundation this week, is that they want to become a more physical, tougher kind of team, a team that basically drags you into deep waters and drowns you, a team that basically goes out and kicks ass and takes names. Now you say to yourself, well, duh, like doesn't every team want to do that? Sure. Everyone has a goal, right? Every team. I mean, every single team has an. I'm sure Vanderbilt saying the same thing right now. They're like, man, we gotta get a team that kicks ass. And Mississippi State, like, we're gonna get a team that kicks ass. Like, sure, but there's a specific things that occurred that kind of ends up being the eye opener for Texas. I'm gonna give you a couple examples of it. Okay, Texas basically lost to two teams this year. Okay, Georgia and Ohio State. That's it. Now they may have lost to Georgia twice, granted, and they lost to Ohio State, but they only lost to two teams. What's up, Kiki? How y'all doing, man? Good to see you in here as well. I saw Stephanie Benji came in there as well. Drew was in here as well. And when you go back into those games, when the staff kind of went back and they kind of looked at it and reviewed the film, the thing that they feel like, and this is why this offseason becomes really important, is that they weren't physical enough, particularly, ironically, on the offensive line. These are things I've been talking to people behind the scenes about. And those issues are the things that they're wanting to address, because they didn't necessarily feel like Georgia or Ohio State was like that much better than them, like just not tons better, but they felt like as the game went along that those teams were just more physical, that those teams were able to wear them down. You saw that especially the first Georgia game, right? We saw that Georgia came out and it was like, oh snap, okay. They ended up beating Texas by double digits in Austin, right? And so that was kind of like the eye opener there. The game is a little bit more competitive, obviously, in the second game. And then Ohio State happens, right? And a lot of things, and I'm going to get into specifics of that game, real specifics of that game. that that we'll focus on. And so basically, yes, by the way, Mark Anthony, I feel like this is the second time Mark and I have been 100. I don't know if Mark is like in my notes. I don't know where he's at. I don't know how the hell he got this, but yes. What you're saying is 100%. And Mark, I'm going to give you the good example of that in a second, but you're 100% there, right? And so one of the things, I'm going to give you one of the instances. I wish I could find this. Let me see if I can find this real quick on, what do we call it? We call this Twitter. We call this X. Like, I don't know what the hell we call this damn thing now. Let me see. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. Let me see if I can find this real quick. If I can, let me see if I can find a video. I probably should have queued this up, and I did not. So I apologize for that. And but okay, we'll go back to. I'm just gonna find this real quick. Nah. All right, next time. I apologize. We all got the memory. So one of the things that they talk about, and I was trying to find, and I just don't have the time for it to find it. Or maybe I'll look for it, and maybe you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna find the video that I want to show you, and more than likely, if you watch this on a replay, what's going to happen is I'm going to get a copyright strike, and they're going to say, "Man, you should not have shown this video." Where the hell is it though? Okay, hold on one second. All right. Anyway, go back to second and goal. Go back to second and goal versus Ohio State. Okay, so go back to that play. The thing, and this is where what Mark just said, I think was really kind of key, is they felt like in the building, to their belief, they don't believe that Sark called the bad play. They don't believe that Sark called the bad play. What they do believe, though, is that when it was all said and done, they were not physical enough on that particular play. And because they weren't physical enough on that particular play, that's the reason why the play wasn't executed the way that they wanted it to be executed. And when you go back, I challenge, and someone challenged me. They said, go back and look at it. Go back and watch it. And I'll be honest with you, I did go back and I did watch it. And I watched it multiple times. And I have to say, what was pointed out to me was that they say, hey, Trey Wisner beat his guy. It was just he didn't really get the job done. Okay, and I think I have it actually. All right, let's go back. Let's do this. I got it. I found it. I want to show you guys something. If you watch it in a replay, for some reason you're like, well, why is this thing not in here in this video that you're talking about? They took it out from a copyright perspective, and I apologize for that. So in this play here, okay, and I believe this is the second down play. I want you to focus. You're going to watch number 2. Will you see him at the linebacker position, right? I'm going to maximize this for a second. If you see number 2, he's in that linebacker position right there in the middle between the O and the S, right? I want you to focus in on him, okay? He's going to shoot up the middle, right? And try to make the play on Wisner. Wisner is actually going to beat him when it's all said and done. So what they told me is like, Wisner did his job. Now, when you focus in on the left side, okay, I want you to, particularly on the left side, see what happens from a blocking perspective, okay? Are you guys ready? Just focus in on that.
Pitch on the edge. Strung out. Drop for a loss. Huge play.
Again, go back to this. Again, from a blocking perspective.
Pitch on the
edge. Trey, he already, look, he's down, right? So Trade-wise, he wins. He wins. But here's the problem. Look at other jerseys and look at all the missed blocks that occurred on that left side. This is kind of one of the things it's going to be one of the genesis of why they feel they've got to become more physical, because there just was not. Is there a way to play this slower? Can I play this slower or something like that? I know there's a way. Oh, playback speed. Let's go just a little bit slower here. All right.
Pitch on the edge.
Miss blocks, miss blocks, miss blocks.
Strung out.
So there becomes for them, their belief is, hey, that and I'm just saying, what look, y'all look, everyone can agree or disagree, right? What I'm doing is communicating the thought process, and then I would lay the foundation for the offseason, right? The thought process is that team was just more physical than we were. Okay. And so now that becomes the thought process of, and I did ask, I said, okay, what about running the ball on the left hash as opposed, running? And it's like, yes, there's an acknowledgement that maybe, but there's just a belief. And look, don't shoot the messenger. Unk's job is to tell you what the thought process are. Y'all can do with it what you want to, okay? So the thought was, okay, this team was a little bit more physical than they were. And they also, one of the things that was kind of told to me was that, they felt like, ironically, this came up. Rodolfo's going to love this. Rodolfo's literally going to love this. This was totally unsolicited, by the way. Someone told me, we got Jordan Whittington out there. He makes a block. And I was like, oh, snap. So there becomes this thought process of, okay, we got to become more of a physical team. Okay. So some of the things that they're going to be doing as they kind of lay the foundation for what the offseason is going to be is, someone told me that, of course, there's the focus on strength training, and there's going to be trying to increase the static strength, which is also known as the isometric strength. That's for those who know what the hell that is. I had no clue what the hell I was someone talking to. I was like, are you speaking in tongues? I don't know if I got the Holy Ghost or not. What did you say? Isometric strength, static strength? Like, excuse me, what is static strength? Okay. So literally, like, you ever have a conversation? And sometimes I ask a conversation. Sometimes in the moment, though, the person tries to explain it to me, right? And they explain it to me as trying to improve the stability and the movement, right? But then when I literally just had to get on Google. I ain't gonna lie. And like Google got this AI thing, and they've had it like for a while now. But now all of a sudden, like, you put something in Google and the AI just figures it out for you, right? So here's what Google, if you believe in the accuracy of Google AI search, then this is what it was told to me. It says static strength is important in football because it allows players to maintain a sustained force against an opponent. This is crucial for the holding position during tackles, blocking, pushing through defenders, and maintaining stability in key moments. Essentially, it gives players the power to hold their ground during physical confrontations on the field, which is particularly vital for linemen and players involved in intense physical battles. Remember what I told you, they wanted to get more stronger on the offensive line, in particular, bringing it all back in. So that's a focus in this offseason is static strength. They want this kind of strength to not, for everybody. Let's start there. Everybody needs it, right? Offensive linemen, for sure. And receivers. They want receivers who block a little bit better than they saw last year. Again, they're not knocking all the guys, but just a little bit better. This bleeds into the conversation that we had yesterday as relates to Ryan Wingo. I'm not going to try to play that audio again because I know it was rough on everybody. But essentially, Ryan Wingo being more of the body type that they really are thinking like, okay, this is what we need to succeed in the SEC, right? Not only is he fast, not only can he catch, but he's strong. He's a bigger guy. And they're like, and I think I told you guys yesterday, the comparison that I've heard behind the scenes was like they compare him to like a young Julio Jones. Like that's what they believe he can be, right? So there will be that focus now, and as we go through the all season, of getting tougher, stronger, right? Which everyone's going to do. But for those key moments, because here's the deal: everybody's going to try to do it. Not everybody's going to succeed. We've seen one program that's been able to succeed, right, which is Texas. And then there's going to be a lot of other people that won't be able to do it, won't have the coaching to do it, won't have the players to do it, anything like that. And there ain't that many other teams out there that can say like, hey, we have been to the semifinals for the past 2 years. So there's a lot of people dreaming about it. But Texas is now just at that point when you've achieved it. It's now about maintaining it, right? That's one of the most important things. It's like now that you're here, how do you like? I joked about it, right? You're losing the weight is one thing. Like, how do you keep it from coming back on? That's the big thing. Like, what do you do? It's you working out, and that's one thing. But how do you make sure you maintain your physique? So for Texas, it's about, hey, how do we get back to the semifinals? And now for them, it's the little margins, like the little things. Like they got the talent, they've got the coaching, they got the recruiting, like all those things are there. But now it's the little things that they feel like makes a difference. Whether you agree or disagree, I'm just wanting to share it with you, right? Whether you agree or disagree what happened versus Ohio State, whether you agree or disagree what happens in Georgia. And look, we can talk about Georgia and missed field goals and things to that effect. And of course, we're always going to remember first and goal and question like, hey, could something better have been done from a play calling perspective? But there's the other factors. Okay, so this is now as we go into this, as we having this week, these are kind of one of the areas of focus. So they start off the week. They start off on Monday. And kind of, like I said, Torrey Becton and the staff kicking ass. And again, trying to make this team bigger, stronger, tougher. And again, there's more specifics to it, right? I am giving you the basics of basics, right? There is a way more detailed thing that's out there, but that would involve like having Torrey Becton sit down with me and talk. And I don't know if that will happen. He did talk to, I thought he was on a podcast last year with somebody. I forget who it was. It was like the Rod Babers and those guys who have a podcast. I forget what they're called. But they'll get some good interviews. So anyway, unless that happens, I won't have all the specifics for you, but I'll continue to work on it. So someone mentioned Arch earlier. And I was told this week, don't y'all tweet this out before I tweet it out now. Don't y'all tweet this out. Don't steal my thunder. Don't steal my thunder. Which, by the way, I haven't watched all of the ESPN interview yet, but I've watched a lot of it though. It's funny, people interview Arch and they're just like, I think he's going to be a good. I'm like, yeah, really? Okay. It'll be the summer of Arch, and props to him for Red Bull. Hopefully they can send me a case of sugar-free. But I heard Arch has been absolutely just killing it this week. One person described him to me as a monster during workouts this week. They said he's been performing like a beast. They said in these settings, just workout warrior kind of settings, they're like, he's next level as far as workouts are concerned. And I'm like, well, I believe that. You can see that. We know this guy's an athlete. I mean, we know this is a guy that can get up and dunk and do windmills and everything like that. Like, we know he's an absolute baller, but I've been told like he's a monster. He's a monster as far as these workouts are concerned. And so again, I'm not anticipating a ton. Matt, what do I think of the Justin Tucker news? Woo, Lord. We can talk about that later. Well, I'll make a note at SEC, Matt. We'll come back to that. Give me about 10 minutes, and we'll talk. I'm gonna make a note right now. We'll talk about that. I'm gonna finish my arch thought. Because what I didn't do, it would have been easy to do, but I did not do. The easiest thing to have gotten a billion clicks today was just say, put Arch Manning is a monster in the headlines. But I didn't do that because that's just too easy. But anyway, he's been doing extremely well, and Trey Owens behind him has been doing well as in addition. Like there's a belief that Trey Owens is a baller. That's what was told to me. Trey Owens, baller. There's a feeling that there's a knock on wood feeling, and we're knocking, right? But the knock is if Trey Owens has to play for any particular reasons, and for knock on wood purposes, let's just hope it's Texas is up by 28 points and he comes in the fourth quarter, right? Or let's say Art somehow misses a team bus and he was sleeping in his hotel, right? I put those things out there in the atmosphere. I'm not gonna put anything else bad in the atmosphere. Like Arch overslept. He didn't have his Red Bull. The thought process is that if Trey Owens has to play, Texas is going to be fine. Like strong arm, just real savvy, and feeling like he maximized his development in the offseason. And don't forget, Sark made sure that Trey Owens got a lot of PT. So in the spring game of last year. So those two as your number ones and twos, and then KJ Lacey, we'll see how he fits in as time goes along, right? But those are that's number one. That's kind of number two. The person told me as relates to Trey, they're like, hey, look, any quarterback that throws 43 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions in the season is special. And I'm like, well, that's kind of hard to deny. If you did not know that, Trey Owens threw 43 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions in one season of high school. Now, granted, it's high school, right? But shit, if it was that easy, everybody would do it. If it was that easy, everybody would be able to do it. So clearly, it's not as easy as one thinks, right? And so I'll give you those two things, about him. And again, they're going to continue to work on a lot of the technical parts. So I talked about like that static portion, right? And so there's the other portion here where they're going to be working on the technical parts of the game. You guys, majority of people who are listening are athletes, but high school at some point. You got kids who played sports. You're familiar with sports, right? You work out, right? And so in any case, you understand that the more repetition that you have of a particular drill, the more natural it becomes for you. It becomes something that you don't have to think about. And ask any golfer. Of course, golf is probably not the best example because there's no sport that will humble you like golf, right? But they want to make sure that there's that repetition, because as you guys know, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the saying, but fatigue will make cowards of us all. You get tired, things are going to happen. So that's why, one, you got Becton kicking everyone's ass right now. But two, from the drill standpoint, right, for the drills and the things that they're going to be doing, they're going to make sure that those guys do it over and over and over again, even the simple things, in order to make sure. Now, again, this is January, y'all. It's a long time between now and August, okay? But basically, thank you, Mike Torres. Muscle memory is the word that I was looking for. They want to make sure of that because they feel inside, like they feel they're this close. They literally feel like they are this close. Like that, I've got everything built for this national championship. Like we've done just about everything. We've got the quarterbacks, we've got offensive linemen. They feel good about the offensive linemen that they have, right? They feel good about the receivers, so much so that we had a show yesterday. They haven't really touched anybody in the transfer portal, right? They feel good about the running back position. They now obviously added in a hero on the defensive line. They feel good that that defensive line is starting to get stronger. Clearly they love the edge guys. I mean, what's not to love with those guys, right? They feel good about the linebacker position. They want to see more out of the DBs, so they want competition at that DB spot. More so, I mean, and again, there's a lot of ones, but they want that competition. They understood, they had to move Jahdae Barron over to that cornerback position last year. Now, Jahdae moves over to the cornerback position, and Jahdae becomes a star, right? No pun intended, but he becomes a star, right? But they understood that also was out of necessity. So who's the next Jahdae? They want that particular thing. And of course, they need someone who's going to complement Michael Taft. They want to see a lot more out of that safety position as well. So the cornerback battles are going to be intense, and those guys are going to be pushed incredibly hard, I'm told, throughout this offseason, because they want that's a position they want to see take up to the next level. Now, imagine having the success that you have from that DB position and saying, yeah, we need to see more. Those guys need to be better. Damn. Okay. I like the high standards, but they feel like they're so close. And so, again, this is where everything kind of comes full circle as relates to that. All right. Let's go back to here. All right. What do you think of the Justin Tucker news? Okay, so we'll start baseline, right? We'll start baseline with innocent until proven guilty, right? We'll start there. But there's certain things that the majority of us have gone through life we just don't get accused of. This is not like an everyday thing, right? This is not like a speeding ticket, right? Where everybody gets a speeding ticket. There's certain things that are so specific that you're like, certain things I never get, you don't get certain things. The majority of us, I'm going to use an extreme for a second. The overwhelming majority of us, no one's ever accused you and said, man, I see you like little children or something, right? No one's makes that accusation because that's not who you are, right? So it's weird when something's that's that specific and they're accusing you of something for so many times. And you're just like, I can understand something that happens to all of us, but that one makes me wonder if there's like some secret underground world of I can't say secret underground world of massage parlors. Okay, let's circle this back because there clearly is an underground world of that. But I imagine most of us, if we go into massage envy, are not expecting that. They're just, I don't know. It's too specific it's too specific. And the one thing that came out from that release that was interesting, I heard everything but an unequivocal denial. Because here's my thing. If the paper that's reporting it is inaccurate, then sue them. I heard everything other than we're going to sue the shit out of the Baltimore Sun and look. That's as simple as it is. Just sue them if they're wrong. But if you don't sue them and I don't hear anything about a lawsuit, well, I think you might be a little guilty. You may not be, but I don't know. Just gonna say too specific. You're not threatening to sue. I don't know. All right, hold on. SEC Matt had a question. He goes, everyone's saying Arch is overrated just because of his name. But has anyone seen a Manning have a bad career, not counting injuries? I don't know. What are the women in the family? I don't know. I think the women in the family are actually pretty. Arch has a sister who's actually pretty good in sports too. No. The answer is no. I don't think I don't know who's saying he's overrated. He's rated where I mean he's a 5-star, right? Oh, you're right. People did say he did get that rating because of his name. You're right about that. You're right about the SEC map because people said that he got that rating because he never went to the camps and all the camp circuit, and he played against I think it was a 2A competition in Louisiana, something like that. So there was you're right. People did say that, but I would say this: if Arch Manning went into the transfer portal in the spring, how many teams are telling him no? Who's telling him no? I don't give a damn who your starter is. If Arch is like, hey, Coach Smart, I want to come. He's like, they're not like, nah, we're good. Hey, I want to go. Hey, Coach, I want to go to Alabama. We're good. No one's going to say that, right? So he's not overrated. Now he has a lot of hype, and now can he live up to the hype? But outside of that, nah, he's legit. He's an absolute baller. And Mark, it's a good question. Like, why did it take 10 years to come out? Man, you just never know, man. You never know what's going on. And here's the deal. I would always say this, caution you with this, Mark, when you with these kind of things. One, you never know what goes on behind the scenes. Two, I would just always be careful. Like if women are, victims of any kind of sexual assault, you just it's such a deep thing. Like you don't know what's going on in the mind of them. Like you don't know what kind of things they may be dealing with, trauma wise, all these kind of things. Like there's just a lot of things, Mark, where I would just that portion of it. If there's a sexual assault allegation, you just if it happens, you just don't know. We as men, just be honest, Mark, we as men can't comprehend it. We don't. Like we don't get assaulted like that. Like we don't walk down the street and have people just grab our ass or be like rude and callous, and we don't walk around and have to necessarily walk around every day and go out and we go on a date and we don't have to think about our safety, right? Women have to think about these things like we do to a small degree, right? But not like how women have to deal with it. So I would just say when it comes to women and things that are going on, I'd let that be the least of your concerns, and let's just let that whole thing come out and let the whole thing play out just to be safe. Okay, man. Also, don't want you to get canceled by anybody either. So I want to make sure I got your back and make sure no one comes after you either. So make sure that's there. Fellas, when you go to get a massage parlor, just keep it in your pants. I've got massages for years. No woman has ever accused me of that. Now, I've had some interesting experiences from some people, but nonetheless, not that kind of interesting. But it's been okay. Now I have to tell the story because now everyone's gonna think like I went to some like Asian massage place or something. I remember I went to this massage place in like Detroit. And that was actually north of Detroit. So it was in Royal Oak. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but once you start getting outside the city limits, like anything, you get into the burbs. Royal Oaks is a suburb. So I had this like monthly membership to this massage place up there. And one day there was this different lady who was there. And she's kind of like an older lady with a foreign accent. I don't, couldn't tell where she's from. It's kind of sound like Yugoslavian or Russian or something to that effect. Like it was something to that effect, a little heavier. So anyway, they typically tell you to dress to your comfort level. So I got my briefs on, I'm ready to go, right? And she is like, no, take that off. And I was like, oh, okay. And so now, like, I'm under the towel, right? And I'm naked. So then, as she's giving me a massage in my leg, right? She kind of gets a little bit like, a little close, and I kind of flinched for a second. And old girl, I'm lying, I'm dying. Old girl smacked my ass, and she's like, relax. I was like, what in the world is going on here? And she's like, and then a couple of times it happened again. And then she smacked my ass again. I was like, what in the world? I was a little scared. So anyway, that was my most like interesting like experience, being forced to take off my clothes. Now I know you guys would be like, well, she was a perfect 10. You think it's best? No, it was still a little uncomfortable. So anyway, that was one of my massage stories. Anyway, I have another one, but I'm not gonna tell it. Anyway, that's it. It's done. It's Friday. Well, I hope you guys have plans for the weekend. Man, I'm loving this off season thing. I don't really have many plans for the weekend, so and my son doesn't have any tournaments, so we are good to go. I'll probably see something, maybe watch something, but I'll be back here on Monday. House of Ida will be here as well. They'll be here at 12 o'clock. Catch will be there. I mean, we had so much information in our war room last night. If you are now on Orange Bloods, feel free to subscribe to it. And again, if you're looking for Valentine's Day gifts, it's a pretty good gift to give to somebody. Give it to the woman of your life. Give it to the guys of your life. Give it to family members, whatever it is. I'm just saying, it's not the worst gift ever. And then the case, y'all take care. Remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. If you join the show late, go back. I have a lot of good information in here, other than my awkward massage stuff. I got a lot of good information in here. So go back and watch it from the beginning. Y'all take care. Live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. Go out and enjoy yourself. And I'll see you guys, Lord willing, on Monday. Y'all take